Integration and sobriety emerging from the labyrinth. Now I'm 7 months sober, the longest stretch of my life in 17 years. Not because I chose to stop running, but because I couldn't run anymore. Locked in a prison cell, stripped of distractions, I met my dragon at the center of the labyrinth, and for the first time began the journey back to the surface. This is where healing gets real. This is integration and sobriety. I am now 7 months into pure sobriety, the longest period of sobriety in over 17 years. I really reached the center of the labyrinth in ways that very few who have been walking this path ever have. I like to say that I stopped running, as if the stopping running was a conscious choice, but in reality, I kept running until I could no longer run, until the inner forces and outer forces were arranged in such a way where running was completely impossible, where I became completely shackled and unable to run any longer. Similar to when someone who is on their deathbed cannot continue with life no matter how much they wish and long to. Their time is simply up, and they've reached the end of the road. And in the same way, I was literally confined and bound up in a prison cell. The only option left, just like someone on the fringes of death's door, was to say goodbye to the old and prepare for the new journey, whatever that may be or wherever that will go. I needed to face the confines of the situation and the reality I had ended up in, where there were no more distractions, where all there was left was the deep, raw, unfiltered, broken, messy, and scared parts of myself waiting to be acknowledged and held and integrated. And thank God it all happened this way, because I know that if I didn't push things to the nth degree, to the final destination, to complete breaking point, there would have always been a nagging thought somewhere in the back of my mind that would have advocated for the continuation down the slippery slope, trying to convince myself that I wouldn't have to change things from deep within, that maybe I didn't go far enough down the rabbit hole, maybe that I could continue wandering along the recesses of the labyrinth without ever needing to resurface and return to the light of day. In those long prison nights, locked up within a cell, tears streaming down my face, as I reckon with the magnitude of what had worked through me, as I faced the reality of the state I had ventured into, I glimpsed the mythical dragon, as well as the treasure trove upon which he sits, and what he is really guarding in the deepest, darkest recesses. And I knew that the meeting of this dragon and its treasure marked the symbolic arrival at the end of the road, at the death before death, at the final point deep down inside the center of the labyrinth. And I knew from here on I'll be venturing back to the surface. And in doing so, bring all of the far out, lost and fragmented parts of myself, as well as the collective with me, back to the surface. Instinctively, I knew that although the journey into the center was filled with fights and wars and wrestling and all kinds of beasts and ghouls and monsters and minotaurs, I knew that now I had reached the center and befriended the dragon and his treasures, that the journey out would be much safer than the journey in. And I got a glimpse that all the obstacles, all the trials, all the tribulations which were encountered upon entering were there in service of the dragon and its treasures, an ancient and eternal pact made between all parts of the labyrinth and the tapestry in order to protect and uphold all that which is holy and sacred and divine and unblemished. Healing has not been the peak or the trough. It's been the entering into the spirals and the traumas, knowing they must be brought out in order to resolve themselves. It's been massaging the knots and tight spots, becoming integrated, wholesome, loving, living a meaningful, purposeful life, supporting oneself, one's family, and one's community to become so. It's clear that the individual is the starting piece of the puzzle when it comes to the wider healing of the family, the group, the community, and the wider society. When that individual is capable of traversing this ancient rite of passage from within, the family, the group, the community, and wider society have more of a chance at traversing their own journeys individually and collectively. When people walk through their own labyrinths, their own inner forests, their own dark nights of the soul, it is those who have truly been there and come back who can support and nourish and nurture those who are undertaking this ancient journey and rite of passage. Whilst the journeys will always be individual and unique and personal by their very essence and nature, the same like finger or thumbprints, the energetics, the quantum landscapes, the mythical archetypes, and the laws of nature are the tried and tested constants, the common reference points which can be reached for and fallen onto along the way. In this way, I honor all of those who have walked these roads less traveled before me, all of those who are currently walking them, and all of those who will walk them in the future. This work is so deep and so true and so profound and so beyond any explanation, and it ripples out in the most hallowed and sanctified and consecrated of ways through the vast expanse of existence in ways which are beyond comprehension and yet paradoxically at the same time can be known. So, my promise to the viewers of this channel, you can expect this channel to be raw, unfiltered, and pure in the most adulterated of ways. Straight talk about a range of topics from healing, self-improvement, self-development, sobriety, plant medicine, spirituality, psychosis, prison, death, shadow work, family, community, semen retention, celibacy, and integration. Real life stories, not polished formulas. Convoluted, not straightforward. Exactly like the path of walking one's own inner truth and one's own inner labyrinth. If you've ever been lost, misdiagnosed, thought that surface level healing or development out there on the market is just another masked game, this channel is for you. If you're called to the soul's journey beyond what society expects of you, called crazy while going through something sacred, ostracized for not performing to society's standard, this channel is for you. I'm going to give you real stories, real lessons and real practices that help me survive when things were darkest, and also those things which help keep me balanced when soaring at the heights of spiritual experience and transcendence. So, I came here for a reason, with a purpose, like so many of all of us, to uncover that meaning and that value through the furnace and the fire of the inner cauldron, through the inner pressure that unearths the gold and forges the diamonds. I went down the rabbit hole so deep, I lost myself in every way imaginable, whilst paradoxically finding myself. I was banished, arrested, imprisoned, and broken, and I died before I died, and I came back to the surface, came back to life, re-emerged, reincarnated, ready to integrate and share in those realizations and gifts. I want to make a prediction about the future based upon everything I've lived and worked through and seen so far, which is that this work will touch countless people around the world as the decades unfold. And right from the get-go, I want to voice that intention. A tsunami-style flood that will engulf the hearts of so many, of which the Noah's Ark will be the togetherness of the family, of the community, and of the Sangha. This work will both benefit people in their present lives and something they can take with them through the portal of death into their afterlife, regardless of their belief systems, yearnings, cosmic imprints, and onward journeys. You'll see me grow and develop during the evolution of this channel. From someone who at present is scared and timid to be sharing and to be sat in front of a camera, reading off prompted notes, hiding away to record these videos, into someone who roars like a lion, and every utterance clears illusions and disseminates light and healing into my own heart and the world. Now, this may take many decades to be fully realized, but deep down I know and feel what is to come. And I'm going to have to confront and face all of my fears and boundaries to bring about what is inside. At least now I started, and the rest is history. And whether everything is actualized in this life or the next, it is something I'll continue working towards until it fully manifests itself. I want to end with the great Bodhisattva vow. Beings are numberless. I vow to save them. Delusions are inexhaustible. I vow to end them. Dharma gates are boundless. I vow to enter them. The Buddha way is unsurpassable. I vow to be it. This is healing for real. Raw, real truth, straight from the earth and straight from the fire, aiming towards the heavens. Watch this space. Boyakasha.